Welcome to the Brewer and the Baker, a baseball card podcast. Not just baseball cards. Here are your hosts, Mitch and Dan.
Well, hello, Dan.
It feels so good to be back on an XLR cable.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, that USB was a little rough.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
Sorry for those of you who listen to that.
Yeah, it was fine. So welcome, folks, to the Brewer and the Baker. I'm the Brewer,
I'm the Baker.
and welcome to episode 17. I know I've been missing saying episode numbers, but we are up to 17 now.
We got it this time.
Yeah. Just a couple quick housekeeping sort of things. Socials, Brewer and Baker. Gosh dang it, I screwed that up.
The Brewer Baker podcast on Instagram.
Graham.
If you want to email us, it's brewerbakerpodcast@gmail.com. Give us a follow. I go live every other Tuesday. So not this next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday.
Yeah, so typically we release on Thursday, the following Tuesday after the episode releases. So
Yeah. So look for that. I'm there. We had a conversation about the latest Topps 2026 flagship design.
yeah,
So I kind of gave my thoughts about that for a little bit, and that's what we did the last time.
yeah, and we'll probably poke a little bit more at that once it comes closer to release as well. So
Did you get your jumbo? I got my jumbo.
I got a jumbo ordered. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So that might be it for me on that. I'm excited about it, but I'm also not. I think today's episode will talk a little bit more about those sorts of things.
I think I'm going to follow your lead, honestly, on this when it comes to Series 1, kind of getting a little off track here. But I'm probably going to keep all the rookies that I come across from it, but I'm not going to put the set together this year. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I've been doing, hand collated set for myself for the last 2 years. I don't know if I'm not interested in it or if I am actually as I'm learning more about me and collecting, if I'm shifting how I am collecting.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening this year. I say that, and I just finished an update today. I just got my last card.
There you go.
So,
but hey, you finish it out and then be done with it.
Yeah.
So overall, the topic today is I don't want to say a serious one, but it's
the heaviest one that we've had so far.
It's going to be a heavy one. It is going to be a serious one.
When Mitch and I were like in high school and even into college, the State of the Union address was always at the end of January. And that'll always be when the State of the Union address will be in my head. None of this middle of March stuff that they've been doing for the last 8 years or so. So, with that in mind, we are going to do the state of the hobby.
Yeah, from our perspectives.
As if we were the leaders of the hobby. This is what we see. This is how we'd like to fix it.
The right-hand side of me is going to stand up and clap every once in a while, and the left-hand side will stand up and clap every once in a while. We'll go back and forth a little bit.
And then we'll also be each other's we'll jump in and yell at each other in the middle of the speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
rabble.
So I think, did you want to go through pickups before we do that? Because I got one.
I mean, I only have one baseball, actually. I only have one baseball this week. The rest are actually non-baseball related, and we can talk about them personally afterwards.
Okay.
But actually, I will do one. I did finally get a Johnny Russell auto.
It's about time.
Johnny Russell auto. It's not from the 24 set that I've been collecting. He did not sign anything in 24. He did not sign anything in 23. So I had to go all the way back to 22, and that's when...
That's his rookie card.
18 technically.
Okay.
But there's not really anything printed. There wasn't really an MLS set in 18.
Okay.
He does have some from playing lower division in the EPL, well, not English Premier League, but in the in the English table,
Sure.
Lower league. So does have one over there, and that's like I want to say 2014, something like that, 2013. He's an old guy, but
Okay.
yeah.
I'll just go over the one card I got. So I actually was able to finally add to my Pat Venditti collection.
Oh, okay.
I found a 2016 Heritage Gumstain Parallel.
Gumstain.
So it was a one-off parallel that they did that year. I've been having trouble finding out exactly how rare they are. They're not numbered. It's one of those Heritage things.
Okay.
Back in the day when you opened up these bubble gum packs, right?
Yeah.
The card that had
Mm-hmm.
the piece of gum on it was always stained and ruined.
Right. I mean, you've got oil and whatnot.
So these days, you can go either two ways. Some people think of those as like parallels, right? And so some people like collect sets and put together a full gum stain like set,
Okay.
which is kind of fun. Some people, the purists, tend to not like them. They're damaged cards.
Right. They want them as clean, as pretty as.
Right. So Topps in 2016 had a manufactured gum stain on the back of cards. Every single one of them had a parallel of this nature. So it was kind of faded in parts, and it's in the shape of one of their gum sticks, nice and wide, and
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't tested this with this one yet, but if it's scratch and sniff, you can like scratch it and smell the bubble gum smell.
I don't know whether to love that or. I mean, I did get an A&G scratch and sniff last year.
You're right,
and I thought those were fun. So
I haven't tested it yet, so I don't know how true that is for this one 10 years down the road. But yeah, I got it. Like I said, I don't know how rare it is. Google AI says it's really rare. Message board says it's about one per box. So we could talk about a 500 card set. It's not exactly it's not exactly easy to find a particular card.
right.
I got this thing shipped from Sports Lots for less than $5 total, all in. So easy purchase for me.
All right. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a rare one
Mm-hmm.
in my eyes. It's
Mm-hmm.
rare.
So I think we should just get into it now.
Yeah, I think
All
so.
We don't have the presidential theme song. We don't have that, unfortunately.
I mean, we could. No, we don't have anything that we could put in there.
We don't.
Round ball rock.
So yeah, we'll just get into it. So I'm gonna kind of start. I have this giant like 6 pages of notes. And after I showed Mitch this, Mitch was like, I'm not that well prepared, which totally understand because I over prepared. That's totally my me.
Part of it. I wanted to treat this also as a conversation
Right.
about it, coming from a space that I have really only I've only really known where the hobby is kind of currently. You know, I've been in the hobby late 23 and forward. I do remember the junk wax of, the late 80s. Well, I don't really remember the late 80s. I remember the early 90s, but I remember having cards from the late 80s. More to the point, this is the hobby that I know currently. I do see it evolving. I do see it changing, and I am building my own opinions on things. However, Dan has a wider breadth of knowledge to this and seen it evolve, seeing where we're at. I could tell you where I see it, but I can't tell you that how it's evolved and if it's a positive, negative. But I guess that's all opinion too.
Sure. So the way I have this kind of laid out, I'm going to do kind of 4 sections and work our way from the macro to the micro. The first section, the big 2, the 2 most important news stories from the last year that involve the 2 most important companies that are involved in the industry. 1, Fanatics officially took over basketball, and football is coming soon, very soon on the horizon. Yeah. April 1st. Yeah. April Fool's Day. Also, collectors bought both SGC and BGS in 2025.
And
collectors being the company that PSA is under.
Yeah.
So, first thing I'm going to do is kind of go over some pros and cons for both of those companies, what they're doing, and things that they need to maybe look at. Okay, so first, the pros for Fanatics. One, I actually don't know if this is a pro, but when it was first announced that that Fanatics was going to get the both basketball and football licenses, the owner, and I forget his name, please forgive me, said he wants to 10x the hobby. I think he's well on his way to doing that.
Yeah.
I think
However,
he's well on his way.
Is there 10x demand?
Well, that's what he's trying to do. There's enough people out there who aren't collecting that he could possibly 10x the hobby.
I mean, it is becoming into the mainstream and not a niche hobby.
Absolutely. You're getting...
I'm getting ahead of it.
Yeah. He also... I've noticed that Fanatics is getting creative with their partnerships. Right? So we saw both in 26, and in 24 and 25, we saw Flagship with their Fanatics exclusive blasters and their memorabilia redemptions that come through Fanatics, right? So that's cool. And then we have this year with A&G and their Mitchell and Ness partnership that they had this year. I think those are both really cool partnerships, and I would not be surprised if we start seeing some of that in basketball and football once they start taking those over as well in some way, shape, or form.
Could you see a Jordan collab with basketball?
If Upper Deck ever relinquishes their contract with him, yes.
Yeah,
I could. Yeah, absolutely. I think Fanatics is probably going to have enough money at some point to flash at him to say, why don't you come over to the dark side?
Yeah, I forgot that.
Yeah. Also, as a generality, at least in baseball so far and in basketball as well, as a generality, the designs for the cards themselves have been very good, especially 24 baseball. I really enjoyed that. That has been a generally very positively looked upon set. And basketball this year, generally very positively looked upon with their design. So those are three good things that I've seen with them. So here's some cons. Prices for wax has skyrocketed. And I don't know if I honestly don't believe this is a Fanatics thing. Topps was already jacking up their prices before Fanatics bought Topps. So I don't think this is exclusive to Fanatics. Panini has been jacking up their prices especially since the pandemic, but even before then.
Yeah. Do you think it happened just to overlap, and that's why a lot of people draw the conclusion that it happened because of Fanatics?
It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible, but I don't think that's exclusive to Fanatics, but it is a problem.
Yeah.
They are definitely participating in it. Basically all the cons are going to be monopolies are bad, right? So there's less incentive to innovate. I'm going to touch back on this in a moment because I'm going to say something that's contradictory, but I'm going to touch back on this. But right now, there's less incentive for them to innovate. They are innovating right now. I'll give them credit for that. But I'm going to swing back to that in the next section. Prices go up because there is no competition to keep the prices in check. And this has been Topps in the era of the exclusive license contracts. Yeah. That has been Topps and Panini. Both because there is no other license out there, they can charge whatever the hell they want. Right? And so they've been taking full advantage of that.
Well, even with just Topps and Panini, both of them, it feels like it's just a race to the top, even between them, even with Panini being non-licensed.
Right. That's Fanatics. Let's talk about collectors here for a moment. Some pros for collectors. The PSA app has improved tremendously. It is much easier to use. It's much more powerful. It's not only is it easier to use, you can use it for more stuff. Yeah. It's easier to look stuff up.
Research is nice.
Their app is spectacular right now. It's great.
I still mainly just use desktop version of it, but that's because I have a wider workspace with it. But
also, their partnership with eBay is good and is getting better. I have a card that's going to eBay authentication right now, which is one of the PSA things that they're doing with eBay. I'm having issues with that, but it has nothing to do with PSA or eBay. It has everything to do with USPS. So I generally like the stuff that PSA is doing with eBay. It's
Right.
good stuff. Generally like it.
Keeping that seller honest, knowing if it crosses that threshold, it's gonna have to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also takes that other step out while it's there if you did want to have it graded.
There's that. Also, there's you can now look up PSA pop reports and sales,
yes,
and integration
eBay.
is the word I'm looking for. They've integrated
wonderful
PSA into eBay, so you can look up pop reports and sell history and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Those are really cool features that are included in that partnership.
That is something I do want to touch on when we get to, probably section 3.
Okay. Here some cons, however. When they acquired SGC, they said they wanted SGC will be a boutique brand. I still have no idea what that means. And to be completely honest with you, I don't even consider SGC as an option for me to grade with anymore. I just don't. And that is generally what the hobby has decided as well, because submissions to SGC have slowed to a crawl.
Yeah. I mean, I know they're offering so many incentives, or not incentives, but deals when you go out onto the website. There's that banner is flashing every little detail.
I haven't visited since before the National. Haven't gone to their website or the app since before the National, honestly.
Yeah, I mean that's how I got all my prior to 1980 cards. I mean they ran them $11 a card or something like that. I mean I was going to do it eventually, but when that popped up at $4 over 10 cards, I mean
right.
I just saved 3 cards worth of submission fees. So
also, when they bought Beckett, they said Beckett Grading Services will remain an autonomous. Will remain autonomous. This purchase happened really recently, so that will remain to be seen. But I do not foresee anything different happening to BGS than what has happened to SGC, because it'll be under the PSA brand. So what they're trying to do is give you the illusion of choice, right?
Do you think that they will eventually try and transition BGS more into the BAS, more they're just straight authentication, try and offset the workflow where Beckett has a very, very dedicated team. I know PSA does have a dedicated team to authentication, but it seems like in-person autos almost not exclusively go through Beckett, but I see a lot of in-person autos go through Beckett.
Well, they used to go through PSA when JSA was partnered with them, but JSA has partnered with CGC. So that happened right before the National. So that's why we're not seeing a whole lot of PSA authentication, new ones anymore anyway. Not that that's not happening. People still send them to there, but that's why.
Yeah.
So even if they're able to keep BGS as an autonomous company, I still think it'll be incredibly difficult to separate the two companies from each other. Basically, once again, monopolies are bad. Collectors is giving us the illusion of choice. Really, there is no choice with the 3 biggest grading companies. Formerly biggest, SGC has actually been surpassed by CGC. And there is no or will not be any motivation to improve anything, because they just don't have. Hopefully CGC is able to kind of come up and start challenging things, and they certainly are in the world of TGC.
Mm-hmm.
Trading. TCG.
Yeah. I knew what you meant.
But in this world of sports cards, CGC is nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Both companies, Fanatics and Collectors, needs to understand that those in the hobby do actually have a choice. It's not necessarily the most fun choice. And that choice is to not participate. No one has to buy new product. No one has to grade anything.
Right.
If you feel fed up with the hobby because of these two companies, please do not spend your money with them. Do not support them.
So, quick take on that. Quick ask: if buying singles, you're still supporting I maybe say anything newer than 2022, buying singles, you're still having to have an effect because somebody has to rip that product in order to. So
yes, but it'll be
felt.
It will be felt because if I am buying singles,
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm not spending that money on wax.
Right.
So less money is going into the ecosystem.
Yeah, I guess I was so take Series 1. I am very interested in the Mizorowski rookie, the Cags rookie. There's a couple other in there. Overall design, do like it. It's a little wishy-washy on some features of it, but I think I'll overall like it. But in order to get those two cards, someone has to be ripping product.
That's right.
So it's still going to continue, but is that going to be strictly somebody gets into a break, they get a bunch of cards that they don't want, then they throw them up on eBay, then I give them more money, and then they pour it back into the breaks because the breakers are going to be the ones, quote-unquote, fueling the hobby at that point. Still out of my pocketbook, though.
Right. I get it. I understand. But again, if you're buying singles, you're not buying wax. So you are putting less money into the ecosystem because buying singles is cheaper than buying wax. The only other thing that I can see if you want to vote with your wallet is to just not buy anything. Right? So you're a collector. I'm a collector. I'm not going to suggest you don't buy anything because that's a little... Right. So
I mean, yeah, I think we'll talk more about that in a bit, but I do feel that compounding is something that's on my mind, and again, kind of the reason that I think both of us are only kind of at a jump. I mean, it's also the reason why you're seeing more retail sitting. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, our Target's actually stocked, our Walmart's actually stocked. People are buying, but people aren't buying.
Yeah, no one wants to spend $50 on a blaster, which is
nobody wants to spend $40 on a
Chrome.
Chrome blaster that has a okay, checklist, not an okay return if you want to think of it in terms of money,
unless you're extremely lucky.
Yeah,
like 1 in a million type lucky. Seriously.
Yeah.
So that's my take on the major macro bit. All right, so let's narrow our focus down a little bit. We're going to talk about the cards themselves. This is part number 2, the state of the cards.
Electric Boogaloo.
So remember I said I was going to kind of contradict myself a little bit here?
Yeah.
All right. Here's where I contradict myself a little bit. We are currently in an incredible era of collecting. Right? Card designs have been nice, as I believe I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
2024 and 25 flagship has been generally pretty well liked. 24 being very well liked by the general collectors. Flagship basketball has been really well liked. I liked a lot of some of the mid to high end products like Tier 1 and Museum Collection were all very nice looking cards this year. As a generality, Fanatics has done an excellent job with their designs for their cards.
Yeah, Finest, Bowman's Best.
Those have been great looking cards.
Yeah, for the last few years. Yeah,
they have given us an incredible amount of choice when it comes to collectors, and this includes product variety, right? So we have the low end, which is flagship right now, and then we go all the way up to Dynasty, and there is 15 steps in between.
Yeah,
and they're going to do the exact same thing for basketball, and they're going to do the exact same thing for football. So we have card types within those different products, and we have a plethora of parallels. We'll get the parallels in a moment, right? But we do have a plethora of parallels, and on and on and on and on. There is a niche for every collector in the modern collecting world,
mm-hmm.
All right?
Right, yeah. Just because flagship may not... I think early in our recordings, 24, while it's widely viewed as a very positive set, I love the set, but I did not love the design.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. It felt very Vegas and showy and like.
That's a good point, and I'm going to get to that in a moment.
Okay.
Because
then
I think there's a reason for it.
Yeah. But then with that, fine. I go over to Heritage, or I go over to Archives, or something still on the lower end. A&G.
Uh-huh.
I think that's what's driven a lot of my love for A&G, other than it was my first real set that I got into. But I still had those options to go into those at that low end without having to pour a ton of money into.
So I said that there's no, in the past, in this episode, I said that there's no drive to innovate. That is not to say they haven't. Okay. Innovation within the cards themselves has been a really nice thing that Fanatics has been doing. Okay. We have the rise of the insert in baseball, football, and basketball. This is mostly driven by Panini and their a mania around their case hits like Downtown and Kaboom and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Which Topps has. Wow, there's nothing new under the sun, right? Topps looked at what was going on with the Downtowns and the Kabooms, and they said, "We can do that."
Yeah.
Right.
And arguably, to some, arguably better.
Yeah. So. That's why they have the HFA. That's why they have the Spotlight. That's why they have the All Kings and the All Aces.
The Helix.
The Helix. Yes, all of those are because of what's going on with what Panini had been doing for the past 10 years with the Downtowns and everything after that. So those are amazing. And the innovation involved in those are really good. But... and here's where I throw in the but and where I don't think I'm actually contradicting myself. This is a new monopoly, right? They need to hook us, right? They need to give us reason to start off with loving them. That's why the designs are looking so good. That's why they're so hot and flashy.
Yeah.
Right? That's why they have these really awesome cards coming out like HFAs and Bowman Spotlights and Kings, All Kings and All Aces.
Right.
And, the K-Zone. I mean, all these amazing inserts and amazing new innovations with the MLB patch debut card and just on and on and on and on. They're great. They're sucking us in.
Mm-hmm.
So that they can then, and I'm going to use an internetism here, so that they can then shitify themselves later on down the line and save money. Right, yeah. They're spending money on the front end so they can save money on the back end.
Here's your first 2 joints of some nice-ass weed.
Yeah.
And now here's some Mexican brick after the fact.
Right. So that's what's going on with that. That's why we have, in my opinion, such an amazing quality hobby right now. Because of all of this innovation that's been going on and the proliferation of the insert and yada, 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 sales are incredible. We have been breaking records. In October of 25, $392 million worth of cards sales on the internet. 4th most since they've been tracking. No, excuse me. That's 2nd most since they've been tracking. All right. The next month in November, $375 million. 4th most since they've been tracking. In December, $381 million, supplanting November as the 4th most since they've been tracking. The market is incredibly hot right now.
Yeah.
It is crazy right now.
I was going to say, just anecdotally, you have not seen, we talked early episodes about when might be a good time to buy. And I did some market research looking specifically at players and things of that nature. But that for baseball has not. Yes, you saw a spike World Series leading up to it and then post World Series, but it has not fallen. Typically about this time it craters.
Right.
It's still, card prices are up, volume is up, the overall listings are up.
This is, by the way, this is all being driven, these numbers are being driven by GOATs, right?
Yes,
and not
true,
just
that's true.
And
yeah.
not just players, but also GOAT sets, GOAT parallels, right? So we're talking prism and silver prisms and gold prisms and black finites, and we're talking Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome with their superfractors and red refractors and things of that nature, and we're talking big time numbered inserts, right? I mean, but we're also talking Michael Jordan and Ohtani and Gretzky and Manning and Brady and blah 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 on down the line.
You and Chad touched on it actually Thursday, or specifically about Jordan. Why are those a 91 Jordan or
it was a 92, just a 92 junk wax Jordan.
Why is that shooting through the roof right now? Because people with money are getting in and want to get the best that they can before it does either plateau or continue to shoot through to the moon.
So these numbers that we're seeing now are similar to what we saw at the beginning and near the end of COVID, kind of that boom, right?
It's actually, yes. Sorry, I did look at this on Card Ladder the other day. We have now passed, in total volume for baseball. I did not look at all cards, but just baseball. We have topped COVID now.
So these sales numbers, I said they're the fourth and second, right? So I'd imagine that the first and thirds or sometime happened during COVID, right? That's what I imagine is going on, right? But what's being sold is different. At COVID, it was graded base cards, specifically Zion Williamson and Luis Robert. Like, there's a reason those two players are on the top 50 of all-time graded athletes, even though they're nowhere near the level of collectability now as the other 48 are on that list. And it's because of COVID. It's because of COVID, because they were the hot rookies at the time. And so everyone just sent in their base Zion prisms and their base Luis Robert first Bowmans and rookies and things like that. So that's why those two are on that list. What we're seeing now are not base cards. We're seeing the super hard to find. Those are the ones that are breaking records. Those cards, the super hard to find.
A PSA 8 206 T206.
Right. That kind of stuff is just coming up for sale now because this is the hottest time for those type of cards. So where does that leave like a purple shimmer refractor of a Jaron Duran? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do think that there are people out there. I mean, for those. So yes, the market is up for high-end GOAT style cards. Overall, I do believe it is bringing the whole market up with it. So stuff is much higher. But I do think you're seeing more volume of some of those. So I'm finding cards personally that I didn't think I would ever come across, or because people are actually putting them up for sale because they're trying to get a piece of that pie, I guess. So, I mean, that I do see as a positive.
So basically what I was going to say, those parallels of those semi-stars haven't been completely forgotten, right? But they are certainly being left in the dust a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. By price, they are absolutely being left in the dust. I mean, you're seeing, like, Yamamoto, for example. I mean, though his prices, I mean, people are actually starting to see his...
After that performance.
After that. Yeah. Seeing his overall potential and seeing him for what he can be. But there are a lot of other players that are on that similar pipeline, and I guess that's why I get so big into prospecting, is a lot of the time it costs nothing to get a middle end prospect, middle high end prospect even.
Right.
And who knows, they might turn around and just hit the most home runs for a catcher in a single season. And now for price, they are up there, but now it's not going to leave your collection because you're so proud of having that from the start. But
right. This is what I've noticed, however. So right now, this is an amazing opportunity for team and player collectors if those players are not GOATs, right? The problem that I've seen is that many of those cards, they're not coming up for sale. Some of them are. You've been lucky, apparently, because I haven't. I've been doing the blue refractor parallel, right? And I am having a hell of a time finding things like early and mid 2010s, like Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Alex Gordon. I'm having a hell of a time finding those cards, right? Those cards aren't coming up for sale.
I think we're at that. So with trends overall, I mean, generally speaking, kind of a 25-year flip, we're seeing in popular culture about 25 years. But then there's that lull in that 10 to 15 year, and we're right in that 10 to 15 year where it's no longer in vogue. Those people aren't being talked about. Alex Gordon's on the Hall of Fame ballot
right
now, talking of it in that sense. He's still a relevant player. He is still in modern, maybe not ultra modern, but modern ball. So I think it's going to maybe be 5 more years, but I think you'll see a ton of his stuff start popping back up.
Certainly hope so, just for my sake.
Right.
So something else we need to talk about, it's the proliferation of parallels and colors and patterns, right? Those have completely watered down the market. As Iowa Dave said recently in a podcast, I don't remember which one it was on Friday, if it was Overthinking Baseball Cards or if it was on his flagship show, The Shallow End, but one of those two. They both released on Friday. He mentioned that he understands why Topps sees the need to offer more and more parallels of players like Ohtani and Judge, right? Their markets can handle any amount of parallels you can throw at it. It doesn't matter. Their markets can handle it. But for players like, say, Matt McClain, or even super popular fan favorites like Salvador Perez, a non-numbered pink Ray Wave, or a, out of $4.99 purple Shimmer, they just can't handle that kind of flood of parallels. Their markets can't. So people are left with these numbered cards, and they can't do much of anything with them. It's not usually worth the time and effort to try and sell those cards. But I understand why they're doing it. I get it. I've mentioned earlier, there's also the fact that if they're going to try to 10x the hobby, they need to have more hits for more people, right? So you can't just create 10 parallels and jack up the number of those. You need the superfractors and of 5 and of 10. But where else are you going to go? Right. You put more of those in, but you also have to put more of the higher numbered parallels in.
Right.
If they're going to 10x the hobby.
Right. Sorry, I just was real quick counting. I think I counted roughly 51 total parallels in Series 1 for this year.
Right.
For 26, yeah.
So that's basically on par with what it was this last year. If I remember correctly, it's basically on par.
I don't think I saw anything super, super crazy. Maybe the gold sand glitter, but that might have been there. The 75 years at Topps, that's definitely new because it's unique to the year, but
I wonder if they've gotten rid of any of them, because there were like a sand glitter and there was another one that was like really similar, except the size of the grain was just slightly bigger on one than the other.
Yeah, that was a celebration confetti or something like that. Yeah.
So I understand why they're doing it. I get it. It still sucks.
Right.
Because most of the hobby, most of the players that people collect cannot handle 51 parallels. They just can't.
Right. So throw in the base card, throw in a golden mirror, throw in, that's not including any of those. You throw those in, and now you're talking 55 if you wanted to, quote unquote, complete the rainbow. That is with printing plates. That is with, multiple one-of-ones in there. But that's steep.
Right. So I get it. I understand it. And I don't know if there's a way around it. But it sucks, and it may be something that we have to kind of live with. One other thing I wanted to mention in this section, it really doesn't have much to do with anything that I've talked about so far, but the proliferation of breakers and repackers has greatly driven the prices up. in wax and in singles. They've both done that, especially for, sets and cards like Kabooms, Downtowns, and, lower level first Bowman autographs and things of that nature. There's nothing inherently wrong with using these methods to collect and things of that nature. Like when I say methods, I mean repackers and breakers and things like that. Yeah. But collectors should be careful. It is easy to overdo it. I certainly have done multiple times in the past.
Right. Like if I, instead of buying a hobby box, let's call it $90 for a hobby at release, or not at release, but at pre-sale.
You have one chance at getting that cost, and that is it.
Right. Besides that, let's say get into a multi-box or a case break for the team that I actually ultimately want to collect. Spend that $90 on the Royals.
And generally, if you're going to do a case of hobby, you're spending $40 for the Royals. You're not getting...
Right. I guess that's my point.
And it depends on like the rookies that team has that year, the autographs that are available, things like that. So maybe with Jack Haglione, even though he had kind of a down year, it'll be a little higher than that, but it's still not going to be the full cost of it shouldn't be the full cost of a box.
Right. But, say that's all I wanted to collect, which might be the way that I am going. Instead of buying the box, yes, I still love ripping. But ripping ain't easy, as we know. It might be easier to get into that break for that team. And over the course of a case, maybe I will have the opportunity to hit something bigger for the team that I actually want. I don't know. Like, I personally have not really... I've gotten into a couple breaks, but they've all been low-end, $10, $15 here or there for Bowman or for whatever, and it's tail end, or it's a 2-year-old product. Just
sure.
Yeah.
And by the way, I should mention, like I said, I do have a history with these methods. If you, Mitch, or if any of our listeners would like a suggestion for someone who I trust with my money and my entertainment and all of that, I do have a couple breakers that I would highly suggest, and I have one particular repacker, maybe a second, that I would be very willing to suggest. So I'll do that off the air. But if anyone wants to know who I would use, I'd be happy to give that information if you ask me. Anyway.
So overall, in your opinion, breakers and repackers have their space in the hobby?
They do. Breakers, when they first started, like we're talking like 2010s, early 2010s, and I didn't get into it until like 2017 is when I started doing all that. But breakers used to be an affordable way to collect new wax.
Yeah.
But they became so popular that card companies started feeding into them and jacking up prices because they could, because it was more affordable. And now it's no longer affordable as it used to be.
Right.
Especially for products that are on the higher end, right? With A&G and Heritage. Breakers generally don't like doing flagship A&G Heritage. It's a whole bunch of sorting that they have to do, and it's extra work when you can break a case of tier 1 and you have 6 packs that have 3 cards in them in each box.
Yeah, exactly. A box has 6 cards total. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. Repackers, you really need to be careful with them. They are the casino arm of the hobby. So it's really easy to get sucked into those. Like I said, I have 1 or 2 that I trust. So, but you have to be very careful with them.
Yeah, right now that hasn't been anything that's interested me personally.
Have you ever watched any streams of a repacker?
No.
Oh, if you can find one that's not over the top, they can be fun to watch. They do have some amazing cards. They are able to find some amazing cards depending on how much you're willing to spend on them. So, yeah. They certainly have a spot, but I think you can easily overdo them. So that's part 2. Thoughts?
No, I think I hit things throughout it. Okay. We're getting closer to the level that I feel comfortable talking and not just asking questions.
which I think is this next one. The
Yes.
state of our collecting. State of our hobby. What has all that done to our collecting and our collections? So for me, it's been pretty transformative, to be completely honest with you. I think the biggest change that I've seen is, at least for me, is philosophy. Brett from Stacking Slabs, when he's not talking to business owners and people in the industry that surround the industry of the hobby, he generally likes to talk about his approach to collecting. He doesn't claim that his is the right way, but I do see a lot of merit into what he talks about. One of the things that he talks about, a phrase that he uses a lot, is shrink the sea, right? You need to focus in on what it is that you like so that you can find, you don't get overwhelmed by all the choice. I mentioned there's a niche for everybody, which means there's a lot of niches out there, right? So you need to be able to, right, shrink down to what it is that you like and what you would like to collect. You're even 2 years in, you're just at the very beginning of your collecting journey.
I know.
So I don't expect you to know exactly what it is that you want to collect.
I mean,
I'm 20 years in. I'm still evolving.
Yeah. I'm still testing the waters with different things. I'm still ripping products that I've never ripped before just to see if there's any satisfaction, any joy there, anything. Is this something I want to put together? And I'm venturing more out of. I'll let you. Yeah.
Okay. So for Brett, shrinking the sea to him this year was focusing on Pacers and Colts black Fianites and gold prisms, among a few other things. But that's mainly his main collection. Super rare, super high value cards of maybe not the most popular players, right? Pacers and Colts aren't exactly, unless you're talking
key years.
Yeah.
I don't know their key years though.
Yeah. So, but for the most part, it's not going to be the most expensive stuff. But we are talking GOAT level parallels for him, right?
Yeah.
So he's focused in on that. I have shrunk my C as well, right? I'm focusing now on blue refractors and A&G minis of 50 or less, right? That's my main focus right now. That is much larger than Brett's still, because I don't currently put a limit on what pattern for a blue parallel, right? And there are a lot of minis that are under that umbrella of 50 or less, right? I may at some point start to narrow this down even further, but for right now, that is still much more narrow than what I had been doing in the past, right?
Right.
I still have a game used PC that I go out and look for, but as a generality, what I'm looking for now are those two things. Also, since I talked about grading earlier, once I'm done with this 2024 Big League to the Moon PSA 10 set, I may not send anything out for grading.
Okay.
Until they can kind of get their act together. I just may forego it entirely because I don't like where that's headed right now.
That's fair.
Unless it's a card that no doubt will be, unless it's a card I'm going to move and no doubt will completely change the trajectory of its resale value. And I'm going to move it, right?
Yeah.
And I have time to do that, right? Then I might consider it. But for the most part, especially for PC cards, I do not foresee me grading anything anymore once I get this project done. There is some hope in regards to the monopolies. In December, U.S. Representative Pat Ryan from New York called on the Federal Trade Commission to look into collectors and investigate them to see if they qualify as a monopoly. I don't know what has come of that so far. It's only been a month.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
We all know that the government can sometimes move at a snail's pace, especially with this type of stuff. So hopefully something will come of that. And maybe possibly in the future, maybe somebody will start to look at fanatics as well.
Yeah.
Once they get the football, for instance.
I remember buying a baseball jersey for a coworker of mine in 2014 from Fanatics, and I still get St. Louis Cardinals emails from them like, "Hey, you bought this jersey one time. You want some more?
Can you go into your preferences and?
I have, but because it goes down to purchase level, it's you've bought this, yeah, okay, so just as your search history or your eBay algorithm has now changed,
Thanks, Chad.
Doing research, it takes I have not bought a lot from Fanatics. I mean, I have bought from Fanatics, but not on that merchandise side. But I mean, overall, I think I'm leaning a lot more into just that, fine tuning. I'm buying a lot more singles. I'm tracking more on my actual individual purchases, total money spent on singles versus on boxes, or on, ripping stuff. And the trying to find that balance point of what money have I spent to feel good about that, spending $90 on 3 blasters to turn around and
get $10 in cards back.
Yeah, but we've talked about it before. Yes, I do want to sell. I really, really am not into it to hit a card, turn it around, and move it.
No, but it's nice to hit a big rookie parallel of something.
Or a Bonds auto. It is very nice to hit that. It is very nice. Don't get me wrong. That is the joy of ripping, but I don't know if that's the joy of collecting for me, is more where I'm going.
Sure. No, that's totally fair.
So, things that we didn't cover tonight I have new things, and again, they're moving not away from baseball, but
I see 5 cards and only one of them was baseball.
And only
right?
one of them is baseball. I mean, a pretty chunky. It's not a patch, but
is that MLS or is that?
No, it's Man U, English Premier League.
Yeah, Immaculate Collection.
Immaculate to 25, 23.
Yeah, I remember when this came out. Yeah, 23, 24.
It just feels. I spent the price of a blaster on that, and I feel so much. Yeah, I feel so much better about that. You can see the pattern in the jersey fabric. It's a really, really cool.
You see
card.
what I mean about Immaculate? It's a nice looking set, isn't it?
Yeah, and
I love how Immaculate looks.
I'm getting more into EPL stuff, but I am also going more into hockey as well. I'm diversifying because, man, some of the Upper Deck stuff, that's revisiting his Young Guns, which is their rookie. So there's a Young Guns of Gensel who played for our college team here. Man, I guess what I'm getting at is I'm having more fun watching the streams for the dollar start auctions for. That's where I wound up with a Jaromir Jagr draft picks card, 1990 score draft picks. I mean, it's graded. It's a 7, but it's a jumping off point for that. I mean, he was instrumental in starting my hockey fandom. I mean, I remember growing up with him, Waugh, Forsberg, Sakic, all the mid-90s players.
See, now you're just talking like you're making me think of Stuart Scott and all them on Sports Center late at night.
Yeah. So I guess more where I'm getting at with my collection is I am trying to track those a little bit more. Like, I do still like ripping, but I am moving away from that and more into singles buying. I haven't quite narrowed down 100%. Don't get me wrong. I think I am still going to continue my big 5 cards for my player. 26 is kind of a foregone.
Jack?
Yeah.
Left field? Or right field?
Right field. Right field as of right now. So I will have a center fielder, right fielder, second baseman, a shortstop. Because I technically have 2 shortstops right now. But I will do it until I get my 9.
Mm-hmm.
And part of collecting for me was to get back into sports from a more macro level of enjoying the sport, but because of the people in it versus one single organization and living and dying by if the Royals won, if the Chiefs won, if
this is your version of fantasy sports, right?
Yeah, kind of. I'm essentially,
but a little more wide focused.
Yes, but it's allowing me, I feel, a more healthy way of getting back into sports and enjoying the sports for the competition. And that is like why I did pre-purchase, or why we bought the Olympics box. Just, I think
2026 Topps Chrome Winter Olympics.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. I love the Olympics because it's down to the pure Estonian speed skater. Like, that person could turn around and be the world champion in that, and they're doing it for the love of the sport. And it's overall, collecting has brought me back around to that and enjoying sports without losing my weekend, losing my day, watching my cousin be upset when Nebraska lost their bowl game and absolutely ticked off. But you know what? Did it affect my day anymore? No, I got to hang out with my cousins. I got to, hang around and do things and spend time with people enjoying a sport. But then it rolls in from there. Then it's basketball, and then after that it's baseball, and then from there it's back into football again. And then, you do that over and over and over, and you can only get so far. And my collecting is now shifting that focus into collecting the people that, one, I fell in love with when I first fell in love with sports, and two, reigniting that love for sports by following players, not just for one team. Happens that I will have two for the same team, but it allows me to experience that at a broader scale. And it's like the folks that want to, and this is me, want to go and see a game at every single MLB stadium. Just want to go experience it for the love of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I am in the process of trying to, I've got a box of probably 500 that I need to send off to ComC that are all these $2 to $10 cards that, yes, I want to recoup some of that money so I can turn that around and buy that Cags rookie auto, which is not going to be cheap.
Mm-hmm.
That Bobby took me 3 years after his rookie year to buy.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take some time, but yeah.
You'll get there.
Anyways, so our collections.
So, final, part of the fourth. So now what? What would you do if you or I, what would we do if you or I had the power to change these things? And I hate to be so simplistic about it, but I really only see two major solutions to all this, and they're the same thing. I'm really not going to be offering you any revolutionary ideas. We need to break up the monopolies. Like that. That's it. Those are the two things we need to do. Break up fanatics, break up collectors.
I really want to see an Upper Deck baseball set. I love the Upper Deck hockey inserts. Man, some of those baseball inserts could be really freaking cool.
We need to grant league and player union contracts to Fanatics, Panini, and Upper Deck. That needs to happen. We need to break up collectors into the three original companies. These two things, these two changes, would mean revolutionary changes to the hobby. And for most of the problems, it would fix them. Most of them. A good portion of them. I think it's that simple. I spent an hour to come to that conclusion, which is something that honestly we all have been thinking anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I've laid out why it needs to happen. The monopolies need to break up. We need competition. We need not necessarily more choice, but the choices need to be available to us. If we were to grant Baseball Players Association and MLB license to the three major companies, I think Topps would dramatically shrink their offerings. Dramatically over. It wouldn't immediately happen, but I think eventually they would have much less property or they would use much less sets. We wouldn't have tier 1 and museum and triple threads and tribute. All of those 4 to me are very interchangeable. We wouldn't have all 4. They all have their own niche, but they're so interchangeable that they don't need to have their own niche. Those would get shrunk down into one, right? I mean,
find the key points of triple threads, find the key points of and the same thing goes with like Panini on their baseball side. You know, the Boys of Summer 3 and 2. Well, 3 and 2 is a little bit higher end, but still
3 and 2 and Immaculate and Flawless.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All 3 of those. Honestly, 3 and 2 would go away.
Oh yeah,
they would just go away. I don't think that there's anything in 3 and 2 that the other 2 can't do.
Yeah, and even with that, I think Immaculate's there.
It's the lower of the 2.
Yeah,
because Immaculate is not above putting stickers on their autographs.
Right. No, they're not. But overall, like I do think Immaculate does bring some nice looking stuff to it.
It's an amazing looking set, but again, the way Fanatics treats it, it's the lesser of the 2 of those 2. Between those 2, Flawless and Immaculate. Yeah. So overall, we would have less choices with tops, but we would then have more choices between Upper Deck and Panini.
Right. Instead of having.
So I don't think we'd have less. I think we'd have the same, maybe slightly more.
Yeah. So instead of 5-star Dynasty, all that at the top end, you might have Dynasty, Immaculate, and then, well, you can't have the Cup. Because that doesn't really make sense, but
a similar set that they would call they would not call the Cup.
Yeah, stuff like that. I could So then you get your, I don't like the way that Immaculate looks. 5 stars okay, but the Cup does look really good. That's the way I'm gonna go. But then you come back and your middle tier might be with Panini and your base tier is with tops.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I see a lot of the problems plaguing the hobby, all boiling down to the monopolies that have been created. And I would not be surprised if Fanatics went after and bought collectors. Like I just see that happening down the road.
At that point, I think it has to immediately be investigated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I do see that if nothing happens, I do see that happening eventually.
The biggest thing.
Fanatics is bigger than collectors. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Something we didn't talk about, and this is a whole nother can of worms, is having the product creator also own the secondary market.
Yeah, Fanatics Collect kind of gives me icky vibes.
I was even talking eBay and collectors owning.
Well, collectors doesn't own eBay; they just have a partnership with them. I don't think eBay. I think eBay is even too big for collectors to purchase at this point. That is just a massive company.
Yeah,
I just don't see that happening.
I only use it for 1/3 or 1 fraction, not even third, 1
and eBay
18th of a.
And eBay is bigger than just cards.
Right. It's fashion. It's coins. It's
cars,
car parts. Yeah.
It's pottery, glassware. Yeah, it's
that'd be
anything
like
you
owning
can think
Etsy,
of.
But then again, they.
So I don't see that happening, but I do see collectors maybe possibly going after, Fanatics possibly going after collectors at some point and getting it. Yeah, Fanatics Collect gives me the ick. I don't like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've hit too much time to do a question of the day. I mean, we can, but I think we're well.
I'm pooped.
Yeah, I think we're well past it.
Thank you for listening to my speech. I appreciate it. I'd like to hear what you guys think of anything that I said, anything that Mitch said. I know I'm certainly no arbiter of information. I just have a lot of experience. If I'm wrong, I am more than happy to admit that what I said was out of line. And I'm not exactly the deepest thinker. Some of the people that Iowa Dave interviews during his podcast are some really deep thinkers about the hobby. I do not generally think that deeply. So maybe I didn't think of something. Maybe something didn't come to mind when I should have when I was writing all this out and thinking about it. So
I do have. Sorry. I know we're on the outro, and I know we need to wrap it up, but something I did not bring up was that eBay Pop Report price data. Something I also have been trying to do to myself is look at it after the fact, but look at a card on eBay and say to myself, how much would I be willing to pay for that card? And then kind of setting that limit in my mind, then go in and look at the market data. So I know I'm not being fleeced or whatever by it, but a lot of the market is driven by that data, the card ladders, what we ran into at the National, an Ellie card that a 10 finally sold for $290, and some guy offered me $70 because there wasn't a good comp on card ladder. It's a Pop 2 PSA 10 rookie card for Ellie. You were only going to offer $70 because nobody's telling me how to buy. What do you see? What do you think it's worth? I valued it at much higher than that, so I obviously didn't sell it. Now we have a data point for it. Same thing with my Yamamoto. The Yamamoto finally sold, and it sold at $600 in December. So finally have one singular sale for it. But, being offered $150 for that card is stupid because some app isn't telling me how much to pay for the card. I'm digressing here, but more my point is something that I've started to fade away from is I do still use it. I still look at the data because I'm a numbers guy at heart. But I go into a card and say, yeah, I think I would pay $25 for that card. And then I look up the most recent sales, and it's like, oh, it's been selling for $130. Yeah, okay. I don't think it's $130. Overall, that is something that I personally am trying to get away from, is living and dying by what the last sold is, because eventually it's going to be a race to the bottom, or you're going to have people just pulling cards off the market because the prices have gotten too low.
Right. And
devaluing things that we all actually value more than that, but because an app has told us, no, it's actually worth $3, whereas in my mind, I value it at $50. Anyways, that's okay. So, thanks for listening.
Glad you got that out.
Yeah. I knew there was something I needed to come back to. But, yeah. So, thanks for listening to my diatribe there. And thanks for listening to our show. I've been the brewer. I am the brewer.
I have been, and I am the baker.
And thanks for listening.
That was the Brewer and the Baker of Baseball Card Podcast. Thanks for listening, and be excellent to each other.